In Louisiana, the murder of an abducted child and her mother raises concerns about the Amber Alert system in the state, and we got the details. In Mississippi, a cop is sentenced to a year in jail and after forcing a man in custody to lick urine off his cell floor. And a 13-year-old girl is sexually assaulted in a park in New York City in broad daylight. These stories and more coming at you today, Wednesday, June 19th on Real Life Real Crime Daily, and I'm Jim Chapman.
And I'm Woody Overton.
And it's Wednesday.
Hump day, middle of the weekday. Whatever else you want to call it, right? And we love and appreciate each and every one of y'all, and we're not going to fool around. Let's get into some true crime time for Wednesday.
Well, and we're going to start it off in Louisiana, and I want to credit Kieran Chawla, Unfiltered with Kieran. She really dug into the following story that I'm going to kind of highlight for you.
Hey, let me say something real quick.
Yeah.
When I was sick, after I got out of the hospital, I started looking at all the posts and everything. I'd be remiss if I didn't say thank you to Karen Chawla. She did a post for me and everything. Said we love her. Y'all go check out Louisiana Unfiltered. Karen Chawla's YouTube. What's
Louisiana Unfiltered is her podcast. Unfiltered with Kieran is her is her news blog,
and she's a hell of a journalist, y'all. And
Emmy Award
career, Emmy Award winning, and we love her.
So we're going to get into this, and we told you yesterday in that episode about the horrific death of Callie Burnett and her 3-year-old or 4-year-old daughter Erin. And we mentioned the Amber Alert system, and it worked well in this case, but it's coming out that it could have worked a little bit better.
Right.
And it's actually coming out from the Tangipahoa sheriff.
Right.
So
Danial Edwards.
This isn't just an opinion from people.
Yeah,
this is
real quick on that. Danial Edwards, y'all, he really is a good guy. I remember when he first won sheriff way back when I was still with Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office and I was on the SWAT team. They had a triple murder in Tangipahoa Parish, and he hadn't been in office maybe a month. And he called out, they didn't have a SWAT team, and he called us out, and we hit 3 houses like 4:00 in the morning at the same time. And guess what? He was with us taking the doors. Yeah. So I have respect for him. Of course, he's the brother of former Governor John Bell Edwards, who I don't really have a lot to say about. Yeah. But anytime these cases come up like this and these high profile cases, that they're going to be put under the microscope, and you can always do something better. Hindsight's 20/20, but it doesn't mean that they didn't do everything they could do at the time, or they thought they could do at the time to resolve this.
We're going to give you the situation, let you kind of come up with your own judgments on this, but we told you yesterday about that horrific incident, and one official investigating the disappearance of the 2 young girls voiced his frustration and concern. That was the sheriff, Danial Edwards. He said Friday that they did everything they could to get the alert out, and that there's a systematic issue, in his opinion, with the Amber Alert system. Something is wrong. The system is broken, and we need to look to try to fix it. A representative for the Louisiana State Police said they waited to release the Amber Alert because they did not have all the information. Edwards said Friday the state guided them on how to fully fill out the Amber Alert request form and kept following up. They thought they were good to go. We provided them the form filled out, and if you need anything else, let us know. I'm not really sure what more we were supposed to do. He said the state never requested any additional information, and ultimately the Amber Alert went out. So in this case, the paperwork needed to get the Amber Alert out was submitted at 10:16 a.m.
Right.
Okay, that day. But after submitting the required documents, Tangipahoa Parish Sheriff's Office Lieutenant Russell received a phone call advising that this was not a full Amber Alert, but instead was a level 2 child endangerment, which essentially means that it'll go out to the media. There'll be a media release about these girls being kidnapped, but not an emergency alert to all phones. So when the Amber Alert beeps on your phone, you wouldn't get that with a level 2 child endangerment alert. The chief of operations, Jimmy Travis, started making urgent phone calls and text messages with a desperate plea to the Sheriff's Association. It's also when Chief Travis advised a lieutenant to send out an emergency press release to media requesting help finding the missing girls, since the Amber Alert was not going out at that time. Now, that release was received by the media at 10:34 a.m. At 10:49, Chief Travis received a call back from State Police Fusion official Jonathan Kemp advising that they were working on the Amber Alert and they had all the information they needed. At 12:02, Chief Travis sent a text message to Kemp for a status update. That's when Kemp called him back at 12:07, telling him they were working on it. Then at 12:28 p.m., that Amber Alert finally went out to everyone, some 2 hours later. So the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office, they had a legit question here, I think. Why isn't an Amber Alert treated like a 911 call where the operator verifies the caller, takes down the information in real time instead of a series of emails back and forth? This is him questioning this. Our detectives were on the scene in rural areas on laptops trying to receive and send this information back and forth. There's no word as to yet to why the alert was not issued sooner. As to whether it would have made a difference, we'll never know, but it definitely needs to be tightened up and fixed. That's 2 hours of precious time, man.
I got a couple things I want to say about this, and then it's bad, but I think good will come out of it. Now, I worked at headquarters, Louisiana State Police, where the Fusion Center is and all that. Unfortunately, and I hate to say this, but it's just the honest God truth. I remember when I first started with them, and I got a case, and I wrote a search warrant. It wasn't that big of a case, whatever it was. And I wrote a search warrant like I've written 1,000 times before when I was a detective with Livingston, right?
Yeah.
And I go serve a search warrant, and they bitch me out. They call me in on the car and tried to bitch me out. And you can't do a search warrant, You have to send it to the legal department and get it approved, And I said, hey, motherfucker, the legal department ain't going to be the one to get on the stand and have to testify the search warrant, is good after the fact. I said, I've written 1,000 search warrants. I've never had to get it approved by a lawyer in the department that says this is good. Now, I can tell you what happened in this. The state police, God bless them, experts at writing accidents tickets and DWIs. Now they have a lot of great investigators, but they recruited me as a criminal investigator. At the time, I was the highest ranking one they had. But that's because they didn't know a whole lot about investigations.
Sure.
And so now they've got, over the years since I was hired, they go out and they cherry pick the top investigators from these different sheriff's offices and city police departments, and they bring them in. And now they have a great bunch of guys, and they've even, increased the pay and everything else. But the problem is the red tape. It is so fucking bad. They are so, I don't want to say scared, but maybe that's the correct word. Then when they get something like this, they're like, oh, we got to run this through legal. We got to run this to the colonel. We got to do this. We got to do that. So that, I'm telling you right now, that's red tape.
Yeah.
But when they, Jimmy Travis, great guy. He's been in law enforcement. I think we probably started around the same time, and he actually came from another department, and Daniel got him over as the chief. But the red tape part of it, it's so fucking stupid. Just let the cops do the work. I would rather see them put it out and there'd be nothing to it, right? Than them not put it out for several hours, and it could have, we don't never know, but it could have stopped these murders.
Well, and seconds matter, minutes matter.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone, and I think Chief Travis would say this, as would Sheriff Daniels. I don't think anyone more than the state police and all the people working on it wanted to see this solved and these little girls found. I think red tape just sometimes gets in the freaking way.
And
man.
so they get it. The state police get it, and then I know because like I tell you on search warrant. Then now they wanted every search warrant I wrote, I had to send through legal to get approved and stuff. That's just the way it was. This thing, they're getting this, and they're like, oh, well, it might not really be qualified. Let's send it to legal and da-da-da. We don't want to blow up everybody's cell phone and use this emergency system because it might not be enough. Fuck that. Do it. Yeah. And if it's overkill, you're not hurting anybody. No. I mean, you're blowing up my cell phone, so what? Yeah. Every parent out there, every good person out there, they don't mind that little thing. So hopefully the state police will fix this error in the system. And I'm not throwing shade on them. It's just the way that it is.
That's right.
But you know what? I hated asking somebody, especially older cops when I was coming up. And then I hated asking the question and say, hey, why wasn't this done? And they say, it's because of the way we've always done it.
Yeah.
Motherfucker, that doesn't make it right.
Yeah.
That's right. But I would expect that they are going to have a committee now that's going to review it, and they'll come out with a new policy and procedure. And you know what? They need to.
I agree.
And so I'm not throwing shade on them. It's just the way that it is. And that's the reason that it was delayed for a couple hours, which who knows what could have happened during that time.
Well, at the end of the day, if it leads to it getting fixed and being more efficient, then that's the goal.
Yeah, and hopefully that's what's going to happen. And the state police good about that. They will police themselves, if you will.
100%.
All right, let's go to New York City, and this is just crazy. So a man arrived at a New York City public park in broad daylight and forcibly raped a 13-year-old girl, according to police. The New York Police Department said that a 13-year-old girl and her friend, a 13-year-old boy, were at Kissena Park in Queens, New York on Thursday, June the 13th at 3:30 p.m., so broad daylight. Authorities said the young teenagers were approached by a Hispanic male who showed them a knife and demanded that they follow him into the woods. Okay. In a secluded area of the park, the suspect took the teens' cell phones before tying their wrists together with a shoelace. Police said that after the children were helplessly tied up, the suspect forcibly sexually assaulted or raped the girl. And after raping the young girl, he disappeared from the park. Right? The teens were able to get free and run to the school across the street, and they called 911. They were taken to the hospital in stable condition, and the NYPD offered a reward up to $10,000 for information on the rape incident. And now let me tell you about the suspect. And they have a composite sketch of him, y'all. The suspect was described as a male Hispanic around 5'5" in his 20s with curly hair. He was last seen wearing red sneakers and carrying a green backpack. He appeared to have dental braces on his teeth, and he had a tattoo of a boar or a bull with red eyes on his chest. And, of course, they're asking anyone information to call Crime Stoppers. Yeah. But, wow.
Let me tell you this, and it wasn't this story that made me think of this. I've always kind of thought about this and the safety of it, I guess, with having kids and everything. But at schools you have an officer, and it's an SRO, a school resource officer, that is at that school at all times. I think that you should have a police officer. They should have it in a budget for a city that has these public parks, that a police officer is at that facility at all times. Yeah. Number one, it would help the police.
Right.
Look, nothing's better than overtime for a police officer. They love that, this extra duty stuff. Right. It would help them, and it would also keep these places safe, because guaranteed these predators, especially rapists and child traffickers, they're looking at public parks hard.
You're absolutely right. It's a place where they can get their victims unaware, et cetera. Now, most of these parks do have officers that are assigned to them, and whether it be horse patrol or whatever. But the deal being is they're huge. You think about New York City and you think of the concrete jungle, or Chicago or whatever, but they have, if you ever go to these parks, they're huge. They're hundreds of acres.
What's the one in New York City?
The big one, Central Park.
Gigantic.
Hundreds and hundreds of acres. There's no way that, I mean, maybe they should put cameras all throughout it and have and maybe they do have a central.
Well, they have the AI cameras now that you pull a gun out, it'll send an alert. It knows.
But you have to have the camera. And then it takes them into a wooded area of the park and where it's off the trails and they can't be seen. I don't know what the answer to that is. I hope they catch this asshole, because if he did it once, he's going to do it again. Now, it sounds like they got a pretty good description. The tattoo's not going to lie, and the braces aren't going to lie. Yeah. So hopefully they'll catch him, and hopefully this sweet baby girl will be all right and get the counseling she needs and everything else.
And it looks like she did the right thing, which was look for distinctive features.
Right.
Of this asshole.
Thank God he didn't kill him.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah. Wow. Be careful at those parks. Woody's talked about it on previous episodes. Keep your head on a swivel.
Head on a swivel in the parks. And people go there, and predators go there and watch.
That's right.
Hey, ladies, are you feeling overwhelmed by hormonal changes? Well, you're definitely not alone. There are more than 1,000 hormone disruptors living in our environment right now. It's in your food, your water, the air you breathe, the clothes you wear, your skincare products. They all mess with your hormones. Then there's the natural hormone changes your body goes through: premenopause, menopause. And while it's a natural process, it doesn't mean you have to suffer through it. The good news is you don't have to suffer through it anymore, because now you have Hormone Harmony, a formula made only with herbal ingredients that are shown to reduce hormonal symptoms in women of all ages. Hormone Harmony is not just a hormone support and supplement. It's become a phenomenon. Women can't stop talking about it on social media. A bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds. And the biggest benefit? Well, my wife says it makes her feel like her own self again. And that's what women mention over and over in the reviews. And there are over 30,000 reviews for Hormone Harmony. And for a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use code RLRC at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC for 15% off today. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC. Spark something uncommon this holiday with just the right gift from Uncommon Goods. The busy holiday season is here, and Uncommon Goods makes it less stressful with incredible hand-picked gifts for everyone on your list, all in one spot. Gifts that spark joy, wonder, delight, and that's exactly what I wanted feeling. Hey, y'all, I ordered a super cool piece. It's a candle with a sculpture of LSU's Tiger Stadium on top of it. And each officially licensed laser cut wooden replica features up to 4 layers of detail, creating a bird's eye view of a specific football field, seating section, and more. And every label includes your stadium's name, the team's logo, and school location. And it has a coconut, soy, vegan wax infused with sandalwood smell that creates tailgates and touchdown scent profile, reminiscent of game day. It's invigorating like fresh cut grass and nostalgic like smoke from a pre-game grill, and calming like the crisp autumn air of a new semester on campus. Y'all, I love it. I have it at the base of my TV, and I'm ready to watch the Tigers play on Saturday night, right? Uncommon Goods. Look, when you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. And many of their handcrafted products are made in small batches. So shop now before they sell out this holiday season. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. They have the most meaningful out of the ordinary gifts anywhere. They even have gifts you can personalize. From holiday host and hostess gift to the coolest finds for kids to hits for everyone from the book lovers to diehard sports fans. Uncommon Goods has something for everyone, not the same old selections you can just find anywhere. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3 million to date. So to get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/RLRC. That's uncommongoods.com/RLRC for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary.
All right, we're going to take you to Mississippi, our neighboring state here in the state of Louisiana. And we're going to tell you about a former Mississippi police officer
God, I remember this.
who admitted to forcing a man in custody to lick his own urine off the floor of his jail cell. He has been sentenced to 1 year in federal prison. So let me tell you all about this. 3 months after Michael Christian Green, 26, pled guilty to 1 count of acting under color of law to deprive a person of his civil rights, the ex-cop is now sentenced to prison for that year. His prison time will be followed by another year of supervised release and fines. His actions were captured on security camera at a holding cell in the Pearl Police Department. Yep. Green responded to a report of a family disturbance at a local Sam's Club before arresting and transferring a man to that police department where the man was in his holding cell. He told the police he had to take a piss. They basically told him too bad. Right. So he pisses on the floor after those officers in his statement denied his request to go to the bathroom. Right. After moving the man into booking, Green noticed the urine and orders the man to, quote, go suck it up right now. So it's not funny. It's not funny, but you just can't believe he would tell him that. You see the phone? I will beat your fucking ass with it. You're fixing to go in there and you're going to lick that piss up. Do you understand me? The officer instructed the man. Now, this was all on camera. He then took out his cell phone and he actually filmed the guy licking up his own urine. Yeah, right. As he demanded the man to not spit it out, the man then repeatedly vomited into a trash can. Now, Green joined that police department in June of 2023, so he was very new there. Yeah. And thank God he is not a police officer anymore, because this isn't throwing any shade on police officers hate this sumbitch.
Right, absolutely.
Because he's the problem.
Yeah, and let me tell you what, there's 2 kinds of cops. The ones who need the badge to feel like a man and the ones who do it because they love it. This guy got his little badge, got his little bit of authority. And let me tell you, first of all, he wasn't on the streets. He's in the jail.
Yeah.
Okay. And I believe every cop should have to start working in the jail system, in the correction system, so you can learn to deal with the people and the personalities you can deal with on the street. But this is the guy who got off on his authority. In what fucking world is it okay for you to make a motherfucker lick his piss up?
Yeah.
And then you film it. All right. So as bad as the situation is, I would hate the scene had he slid underneath the radar and one day got on the street, because his abuse of powers he would have kept doing it. He'd have kept giving a black eye to all cops. And here's the deal. When you arrest somebody and you bring them to jail, or even if you're a convict in jail, like Bloody Angola, right? You're not there as a correctional officer to punish them.
Right.
You're there to house them,
right,
and keep the public safe from them. And this guy would have been processed in for his charges and done whatever and made bail. And ultimately he had to answer his day in court. Now, this idiot that, gets off on, oh, I'm the man. I got a badge. I'm the fucking man.
Yeah, lick your piss
up, bitch. And I remember when we first reported the story, I'm like, what a fucking douchebag. And it happens. It's unfortunate it happens. And what a fucking moron. It tells you that his level of intelligence that he records it.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm sure he showed it around and it got out. Well, there you go. Let's talk about a serial killer. All right. And the I-70 Strangler. Ooh, right? And so the I-70 Strangler has become a ghost story about a faceless boogeyman who hunted boys and men in the 1980s and 1990s. So he's active for a while, y'all. And at least 12 bodies were found partially nude and strangled and dumped in streams and gullies and trenches along Interstate 70 in Indiana and Ohio. So typical interstate body dumping, right? Crossing the state lines like we talked about so many times. And he kills them and just pulls over and drags them off in the woods, right? So over the years, investigators looked at two notorious serial killers, Larry William Eiler and Herb Ballmeister, as the I-70 Strangler, but they never got enough proof, Jim, to say if one of them was or one of them wasn't, right? So they just didn't have definitive proof. But Ballmeister, whose property was littered with, now check this out, 10,000 burnt and crushed skeletal remains of his victims.
Oh,
right.
Gosh.
He is more commonly associated with the shadowy Midwest monster. Another, media loves to give titles to these assholes.
Yeah.
Since a loyal, this is really cool. A local retired and highly respected sheriff. He retires. He becomes a private investigator, right? And he ends up tying Ballmeister to these killings, right? He said, I had a brush with the devil. But after Virgil Vandegrift, who's the retired sheriff of Marion County, Indiana, he received some phone calls in the mid-1990s from families concerned about suspicious disappearances of loved ones. Now, seemingly isolated missing person cases became a hunt for a serial killer. So both missing men were gay with similar heights, weights, and appearances, and they vanished on their way to bars, and that's where this retired sheriff went out and distributed flowers, right? So during his investigation, a publisher of a magazine focused on issues concerning the gay population alerted Vandegrift about a rash of missing men in the Indianapolis area that seemed to fit the same profile, right? So it became obvious there was a serial killer, Vandegrift told the news in December 2022 interview. Just had to figure out who, where, and how to bring it to an end. Y'all, this story is crazy, all right? Vandegrift took his findings to police, right? Now, like we did on Real Life Real Crime Original, you're not a cop anymore, so you can only do so much, and at some point you got to turn it over. Yeah. Well, he took it to police, but the gay victims were considered low priority for law enforcement at the time. High-risk lifestyle, nobody really cared about them. You bet if it was a young white girl that it had made national news. But he said, it was shocking to me the number of gay people that were missing that no one would pay attention to. And this Vandegrift told WTHR during that 2022 interview. He said, instead of waiting, the investigator took the case into his own hands and created a profile of the killer. Now, during the investigation, an informant who used a fake name said he had met a man named Brian Smart, a nickname which was used by the guy I told you about, Ballmeister. He used Brian Smart as an alias when he went to the local bars. So the informant survived a confrontation with Ballmeister and saw him again in a bar, and he yelled, "This guy's a serial killer. Somebody gives us his license plate number." This is what Vandegrift found out during this investigation. Not surprisingly, that license plate came back to Ballmeister, which led law enforcement to a secluded 18-acre property at Fox Hollow Farm in Westfield, Indiana. Now, law enforcement ultimately dug up 10,000 burnt and crushed skeletal remains around Ballmeister's home in the 1990s, including those of Vandergrift's 2 missing persons that he was investigating, the 2 gay guys. Now, before he bought the vast property in 1991, investigators believe Ballmeister had dumped his victims along I-70. But, hell or jail, he died by suicide after fleeing to Canada as his life, sugar turned to shit in his life.
Yeah.
His marriage crumbled, his business went bankrupt, and there was a warrant for his arrest, right? So he shot himself in July of 1996 and took all his secrets to the grave. 10,000 body parts, Jim. The Hamilton County Coroner's Office teamed up with Orthram. We've talked about a lot on the show. One of the country's leading forensic genetic genealogy labs to identify Ballmeister's victims 3 decades after his death. 30 years.
Yeah.
Right? So far, the Hamilton County Coroner's Office has identified 8 victims, and investigators have 4 more DNA profiles that have not been identified yet, which brings the body count up to 12. This is confirmed. And this is according to the Hamilton County Coroner, Jeff Jellison. So investigators have tied Ballmeister to at least 25 victims, but he was never definitively named as the I-70 Strangler. And neither was the other prime suspect, who's Eiler, who is believed to have murdered at least 21 more victims around the same time. And his victims were also boys and young men in the gay community from the same area. Now, Eiler was sentenced to death by lethal injection. For that, they can't say he was I-70 Strangler, but they got him on these other charges, right? And he's sentenced to death. The I-70 Strangler and the I-70 Killer are 2 different but still unknown serial killers who murder the victims in the same area. Like you and I talked about here in Baton Rouge, Derek Todd Lee and Sean Vincent Gillis active at the same time, hard to tie together. But the Strangler's killings appeared to be sexually motivated, and the victims were male, while the I-70's killers, victims didn't have evidence of sexual assault and were typically young women. So different modus operandi, right? Crazy, crazy story. 30 years, and these victims never going to get justice, because I do believe that obviously he had 10,000 body parts, including 2 of the victims this retired sheriff was looking for. No justice, but one's in hell and one got sentenced to lethal injection. So.
Yeah, and thank God that DNA has advanced to the point where at least you can identify.
And shout out to Orthram Labs, right? Not all, but a lot of these cases that are being solved now. And I'm going to be working on one out in New Orleans from murders of gay men in the 1980s. And a piece of the main evidence was sent to Orthram also. And those guys and girls are doing some wonderful work.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, well, the secrets that they take to the grave, some of these guys. We're going to go to Texas.
Yeah.
And we're gonna tell you about a pretty bizarre case there. Texas is actually our second largest listening base.
Right? And we love our people out there.
That's right.
Right? Leah Marie says the stuff every day.
Oh, yeah.
Not everybody else.
That's right. Well, we're going to tell you about
Kimmy from
Broussard. Is it Broussard?
No. Kimmy's going to kill me. She came in for O'Hara's with her daughter, but she's been to every live show. Her and her husband, they're the ones that made me the bottles of wine and stuff. One is super fucking cool people, super cool to hang out with, and they're in the Dallas area. But anyway.
Well, we're going to tell you about Giselle Salazar. She's a mother of 4, and she was found dead. She was actually hanging from a dock on May 31st in League City, Texas.
I think I heard about this.
Now, the 30-year-old death is being investigated as suspected foul play. Initially, it was, first thought was a suicide. Right. She's hanging from a bridge. Right. Police in Galveston or a dock rather. Police in Galveston are investigating Salazar's death as that possible homicide, and they have even identified 2 people of interest. Police told media outlets that they believe the victim was killed before being placed in that position, and the scene was staged to look like a suicide. And I'm going to tell you why they thought that. Now, on May 31st, police did confirm that they were notified about a woman who appeared to be lifeless and hung by a rope on the dock. Salazar's body was found near her boyfriend's boat, where she was living at the time of her death. The boyfriend, James Hart, said, "This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me." He also added he feels like it's a nightmare you can't wake up from. "I didn't have anything to do with it, and I never would have. I just loved Giselle more than anything in the world. We were together 24/7, and I want justice for Giselle and for myself." Police said that when Hart was notified of Salazar's death, he became very distraught and would not come off of his boat. Salazar's body was partially submerged in the water with one of her arms in an awkward position. There's a clue.
Right.
That's what we call a clue in the business. Because of the position of her arm, we believe she probably passed away somewhere else. Now, why would they think that?
Probably because the rigor mortis or lividity.
You just nailed it. Yeah. The rigor mortis will stiffen you.
Right. And it happens in stages. You get stiff and it'll lacken up and it'll get stiff again. It happens over periods of hours.
So that's right. So apparently when she was hanging, one of her arms was crooked upward. If you hang and you commit suicide and your arms hang down by their side, the rigor mortis is going to set in in that area.
And the blood's going to drain to the bottom of your hands.
Yeah. So because of that position, we believe she probably passed away somewhere else. That from Police Lieutenant Eric Cox. Rigor mortis sets in, and then when she was moved, her arms stayed in that position.
Right. And also, look, rigor mortis, I've dealt with it. It's like cement.
Yeah.
When it's in full rigor. I mean, like you literally could pick up a body by an arm that was bent like that. You pick it up like that and not break the arm.
Yeah.
Where normally, you pick my arm up, it flops. Yeah.
Yeah. And also what stands out, and she had 4 children.
Oh, God.
And so it happens. People commit suicide. Ladies commit suicide with that many children, but it's probably kind of rare.
Yeah.
Usually when they have 4 kids, they're not going to do that when they're babies.
And usually, I can't say that. I have had some that hung themselves, even more rare to shoot themselves because they don't want to, females don't want to mess themselves up for the funeral. Yeah. Now, having 4 kids, I'm throwing flags.
Yeah, so they're investigating it now as suspected foul play, and apparently the boyfriend thinks he's on the list because he's denying everything.
You said something in the beginning that threw a red flag for me, and I don't know because I wasn't there, but if you go back to the beginning and read, he said,
Salazar was found near her boyfriend's boat. The boyfriend said, "This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me."
Keep going.
He added, "It feels like a nightmare you can't wake up from. I didn't have anything to do with it, and I never would have. I just loved Giselle more than anything in the world. We were together 24/7, and I want justice for Giselle and myself."
That's it. That was what you said, and it threw the red flag. I want justice for Giselle would be understandable, but not for yourself.
Yeah.
Why would you say that?
Yeah.
I want to be exonerated. Not justice for myself, justice for yourself. If you did it, you need to go to prison.
Yeah.
And that's, I get so many requests, Jim, from people. And, certainly a lot of them are just going to be family members, don't believe that their family members killed themselves, et cetera. But some of them are just bad. And I mean, like, holy shit, and read this case. And I'm going to do one soon on Real Life for Crime Original, where it's a suspected suicide. And look, a lot of times it just happens. The cops will go in and work it and just rule it suicide, et cetera. And I'll go back to one that I read before I went to state police, and then it ended up being one of the state police family members, and they got me the stuff, and I had heard of it. They got me the stuff, and it's supposed to be a suicide, that this guy shot himself. And I'm looking at this as old timey crime scene photos, like on the 9mm and stuff, not digital shit. And this guy was like a fucking, about karate and shit, I don't know, but like a triple black belt, and then he was like 6'7" and whatever. Now he's found with his pants down around his ankles, half in and half out of the bathroom door, and they said he shot himself in the head. Problem was, pistol was in the bedroom.
Oh,
like 40 feet away.
Yeah.
And he had some problems with another guy and what have you, that it was an ongoing thing. But the pistol being in the bedroom, and the detectives, this is back a long fucking time ago in the early 80s. The detectives just walk in and be like, oh, fuck it, this is suicide.
Yeah. That dog don't hunt.
No. It just doesn't work. But anyway, God bless them.
Hey, y'all, let me tell you about Gobble. All Gobble meal kits are pre-prepped. That means less work for you and less waste in your kitchen. Their meal kits include everything you need so you can save time at the store or just skip that trip entirely. I got the box in and I had 3 different meals. I had a Kung Pao chicken, crispy fish tacos, and a beef bourguignon, however you say it. But let me tell you about the classic beef bourguignon. Look, it came with beef pot roast and a beef broth concentrate, red wine demi-glace, cremini mushrooms, cipollone onions, mashed potatoes, baby carrots, and rosemary thyme butter. It was so easy to make. Literally like 15 minutes it took Cindy. And let me tell you something, all the dishes were fire, but this thing was like a taste explosion in my mouth. It's just unreal. We've got to spend more time together and more time doing the things we love because everything came in this one single box right to my door. So see what a difference Gobble will make for your household. Right now, they're offering my listeners a fantastic limited time deal. You get $120 off across 4 boxes plus free shipping and free cookies. And let me tell you, those cookies, I ate one that was sin-baked and it was delicious. Go to gobble.com/reallife. That's GOBBLE.com/real-life for $120 off your first 4 boxes. This offer is not available on the home site, so don't miss out. This is genius. It's taste explosions in your mouth like you never had. Hey, y'all, changing my wardrobe from summer to fall, it's never easy. Luckily, Quince offers timeless and high-quality items I adore, ensuring my wardrobe stays fresh and I don't blow my budget. And there's nothing easier than going to Quince and choosing these high-quality items, like cashmere sweaters from $50, pants for every occasion, washable silk tops, and so much more. The best part? All Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. By partnering directly with top factories, Quince cuts out the cost of the middleman and passes the savings on to us. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes, and I love that. I got the stainless steel Link Apple Watch band for $59.90. It's heavy duty, it's awesome, and it's like $100 less than I could find anywhere else. And I also got a 100% organic cotton fisherman quarter zip up sweater. The color is alabaster. Man, I can't wait to wear that this fall. And Cindy got the Mongolian cashmere boat neck sweater in heather gray. And I'm telling you, these are classic pieces at a fraction of the price. Make switching seasons a breeze with Quince's high-quality closet essentials. Go to quince.com/RLRC for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/RLRC to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/RLRC. You'll thank me later.
All right, so you and I have been to Hooters a couple times,
Yep.
To drink the cold beer. And honestly, when I was a cop, I went to Hooters once. I just wasn't something I went to. They call them restaurants or whatever. All my buddies would go, and then I think I went one time with Ben Smith and the SWAT team. He's deceased now, rest in peace, brother. With the SWAT team guys and what have you. But for me, and after I got together with Cindy, we would go and day drink, sit there in the booth and drink. So it really wasn't about restaurant for me or looking at girls and bikinis or whatever. And when I was in polygraph school in Austin, bikinis, the very first one opened, and now they're a national chain. It was right in front of my hotel room. And I'd get back from school every day and go drink beer, right? But it wasn't about looking at girls in bikinis. And fuck you can do that anywhere. Porn's free on the internet. But have you ever heard of a bikini coffee shop?
No.
Okay, well, they have them. And I'm going to take you out to Seattle, right? Home of coffee, more coffee shops than anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And then evidently in this coffee shop, the females wear bikinis. Maybe a little extra.
That'll wake you up in the morning.
Right, to get a guy to come in. So, but listen to this shit. It takes all kinds of more, make the world go around. So this lady, they call them baristas, right?
Yeah.
She's working, she's doing her job, and she's actually the owner. And she's the owner of the Seattle Bikini Espresso Shop. And she's having to defend herself. Because she's defending her decision to smash a customer's windshield with a hammer after he threw coffee at her. Now, there's actually video of this, but I'll get to that in a second. So the incident at Taste of Heaven Espresso was caught on camera at 3 p.m., right, June 11th, and shared in a now viral social media video. So Emma Lee, who's 23 years old, told Fox 13 of Seattle it was not the first time the customer had been disrespectful, and she wants him held accountable for his actions. What transpired on video was a culmination of a 15-minute exchange over the price of a 32-ounce coffee and a 24-ounce water, Lee said. The price was $22.
Woo, that's expensive.
Right? Who the fuck drinks a 32-ounce coffee?
Jesus. 32-ounce coffee.
But Lee can be heard demanding the customer leave in the surveillance video posted to her personal Instagram page. Nobody is going to miss you, the man can be heard saying. Do you want me to throw this on you? She asked him. Give it to me, he says, before taking the 2 cups back. He then pops the lid off the water and throws it at her before doing the same with the coffee.
Oh.
Right? He gets back in his car while Lee pulls out a hammer and strikes his windshield before he drove off.
I can't say I blame her.
So you don't get to name your own price, Lee told Fox News 13, adding that the man screamed, spit, and tried to pry open the business window. Remember, they're in the drive-thru, y'all. It was a threat, Lee said. I felt in danger. It's okay for him to be outraged about the price of his drinks, but enough to assault me? But it's not appropriate for me to respond? Well, Lee called police and told Fox 13 that she filed charges for misdemeanor assault, and the Seattle police didn't respond to the news request. Y'all, if you get a chance, you got to see this video. It's just, people are so fucking stupid.
That's.
I mean, I'm pretty sure the
crazy.
The $32 price tag has something to do with the girls in bikinis. I mean, go to Starbucks. They're expensive as fuck, but at least
that's right.
There's not $32 for one coffee or $22 or whatever.
Yeah,
So
and you can't just throw shit all over people
and prying the window open and throwing shit in and shit. She got a hammer. Boy, what the fuck are you doing with a hammer in a coffee shop?
Right.
But anyway, she got a lick in.
Good for her. I mean,
Shit happens.
That's it.
And y'all, look, we're going to be bringing you back some Mile Highs.
Well, we got one for them right now.
Well, then give it to them.
We got a WTF.
Yeah, WTF. Obviously, I was just saying that in the future, we're going to be bringing back the episodes because we know y'all love them.
Yep,
So lay on the WTF. Jim.
This one right here definitely made me say that.
Right.
Let me tell you this story. A 51-year-old man is facing murder charges after police in Washington determined he fatally shot a 17-year-old boy in a Big Five sporting goods parking lot as the boy was attempting to return an airsoft gun with two friends.
God.
You ain't gonna believe what I'm about to tell you. The incident occurred around 7:30 p.m. on last Friday. This was in Renton, Washington. The suspect, Aaron Brown Myers, approached the three teenagers in the parking lot and a physical altercation ensued. The three teenagers were walking toward the store to return an airsoft gun when the suspect approached them with a firearm. Myers was an off-duty security guard. He shot the 17-year-old victim multiple times. Deputies from King County Sheriff's Office responded to the incident immediately, but the victim died at the scene. Myers has been charged with second-degree murder. Myers claimed he was in the area to do overwatch after noticing an increase of crimes in the parking lot. He believed the groups of teens were going to commit a violent robbery. Investigators obtained surveillance footage from the sporting goods store as well as a nearby martial arts studio, which they say showed the teenagers removing the airsoft gun from his pocket and laying it on the ground after Myers approached them with a gun. As the altercation continued, the suspect pushed the teenager to the ground and straddled him while aiming his gun at the victim, who had his fingers extended to show that both his hands were empty. As the victim briefly lowered his arm to his waist while backing away from Myers, the suspect shot the victim multiple times. The two surviving teenagers claimed they repeatedly told Myers that it was not a real gun, it was a BB gun. The teenager sustained at least 7 gunshot wounds, with 6 of them entering through his back.
Wow.
What the fuck?
Right? Holy shit. Cancel Christmas for that dude.
That just pissed me off when I read that. So some kid returning a BB gun.
So those airsoft guns, they have that, all of it's mandated by law. They have that orange thing on the end of the barrel because they do look so real.
Yeah.
But the thing being is that the kids had their hands, they put it on the ground.
Put it on the ground. They're all telling him it's a BB gun.
It goes back to the different kinds of cops. That's the badge, needs a badge to feel like a man, even though he's a security guard. And usually, and I hate to say this, but I had all the jewelry stores across the United States I would go to, and I'll never forget, I was responsible for most of them were off-duty cops, but some weren't. It was private security companies, and I'll never forget, it was in Jackson, Mississippi. It was in Shreveport. This big, tall guy, and I would do surveillance on them and watch them and see how they open and close, if they were looking around, heads on a swivel and all that stuff. And this young kid, big, like 6'7" monstrous guy. And I walked up to him and go in and do my presentation, whatever. And I'm coming out, and I told him, I said, "Hey man, how long you been doing security work for?" And he said, "Oh, about a month." Now he's got a firearm on.
Yeah.
Right. In the state of Louisiana, you have to qualify with your firearm. Mm. And I said, how often you shoot your pistol? Often, just to see, because security guard companies, a lot of them are just like, they want a body in front of the door. They're charging $25 an hour to the company, and they're paying them, these kids, minimum wage. And he said, "What do you mean?" I said, "How often do you shoot your firearm?" He said, "I've never shot it." And I said, "Really?" I said, well, let me ask you a question. I said, "What are you going to do if bad guys come in the store and you're in the store?" So they had to stand out in the front during the opening to make sure everybody get in, and during the closing, make sure everybody gets out safely. But during the daytime, they're in the store.
Yeah.
As president, this is just a deterrent, right?
Sure.
And I said, "What are you going to do if you're in the store and bad guys come in with guns and say, 'Everybody get down, this is a robbery'?" And I swear his eyes glazed over, and he put his hand on his pistol. He said, I'm going to kill them all.
Oh.
I said, I went to my car. I said, called headquarters. I said, get this motherfucker off the job now. And that's the same kind of thing. And a lot of those security, and I'm not knocking on those great security guards too, but a lot of the security guards can't get on police departments. They can't pass the psychological tests and for obvious reasons and whatever. And this asshole he was itching for the day like that young kid. He was wishing somebody would come through the door with a gun so he can, exactly.
Yeah.
John Wayne's dead hero. And I hate that. And the 6 times in the back, I can understand if the first one went in, you spun around, the body spins around from the force of it. And maybe you catch one in the back, but you kept shooting an unarmed kid.
Yeah. Sick, man.
What the fuck?
WTF.
What the fuck?
All right. Well, any final thoughts?
No, that's another great show. We love y'all and appreciate you back, y'all, every time. And God willing, that something doesn't happen to Jim or something doesn't happen to me again. Back in the saddle, rolling the stories. Send us your stories. Send us your kinky crimes and mile highs or whatever happens in your town and you think it's worthy, send it to us.
That's right.
And because we love to hear it.
That's right. And until next time, I'm Jim Chapman.
And I'm Woody Overton,
your host of Real Life, Real Crime Daily. Peace.